Those who would chase the bluebird of happiness risk having it poop upon them. No finer example is there than our boy Anakin Skywalker. And that boy was a desire machine. And you know what? I love the movie The Devil's Advocate. The movie has several soliloquies, and one of them, Al Pacino's character mentions that humans have able to focus their desire with laser-like intensity. And that's a paraphrase, but he's right. Look at Anakin. He wanted to be free from slavery. Boom, he got that. He wanted to become a Jedi. Boom, he got that. He wanted Senator Padme Amidala. Boom, he got that as well. But just because he got what he wanted, just because he experienced many delights, does not mean he led a life of fulfillment or satisfaction. Let's take a closer look. Each of us is wired. Well, every healthy, complex life form on this planet is wired to hate what they call pain and crave what they consider bliss. Now, what you and I might consider bliss and pain might be different from what they consider bliss and pain, but preferences aside, once an organism has decided that it finds something painful, it will do whatever it can to push away from it. Hating and craving is the fundamental duality. Now, what is the liberation that the Buddha offers us? Is it liberation from the presence of hating and craving, the capacity to hate and crave? Or is it liberation from the tyranny of hating and craving? Perceiving hating and craving without being controlled by hating and craving. I'm sure you hate when I gesture wildly and hit the mic. I'll try very hard not to do that again. Our brains have two reward systems. The dopamine-oriented reward center is wired for pleasure and dissatisfaction. Let that sink in. I don't know if you're as nerdy as me. Maybe you are. I remember way back in the 90s, the movie Men in Black. And who can forget the scene when what appears to be a little old man winds up in an autopsy table and his face opens up, revealing that what we thought was a little old man was a robot carrying a teeny tiny alien the size of a Barbie doll. Similarly, our bodies are like robots carrying our DNA, and to a larger degree than we've been led to believe, we are servants of that DNA. It is wired to reproduce itself within our cells, within our body, and to make sure that we reproduce so that its traits can be carried to the next generation. And so we are wired with certain survival impulses. Consider, if you please, the 6 F's. When encountering any new individual, we are wired in our oldest corners of our brain to ask ourselves, hey, should I fuck that? Should I feed on that? Should I fight that? Should I flee from that? Should I faint before it? Or should I fawn over it? Those are the 6 F's. They're not wired. They're not designed for fulfillment or peace. They're designed to keep us alive and to make sure we pass on our genetic information. That's it. Now, if copulating ensures that we pass on our genetic material, then it makes perfect sense from a very cold, calculating, Machiavellian point of view for our brains to be wired to never be satisfied when it comes to that which is required to pass on our genetic material. And so this dopamine center, which rewards for not only procreation, but anything that supports procreation, food, shelter, clothing, warmth when it's cold outside, coolness when it's warm outside. You get the basic idea. No one has to be told to go find a shady spot when it's 100 some odd degrees in the middle of summer. No one has to be told to sit next to a roaring fire in the dead of winter. We are drawn to these things. We find pleasure in this, but we never have enough. That is not because of a spiritual failing. That is not because we fail to believe the right things or we make the mistake of believing the so-called wrong things. That is our fundamental wiring. But good news, my friends, we have more than one reward center. We also have an oxytocin-oriented reward center that is wired for cooperation, and it rewards our practice of cooperation with fulfillment. When we serve our partner, our offspring, our family, our neighbors, our community, our extended family, when we cooperate with them, we experience deep fulfillment. That is not because we're good people. That is not because it's a random thing. We are wired that way because fundamentally it's ideal for the species. It's ideal for the genetic information. It takes a village. Hillary Rodham Clinton was correct. It does take a village to raise a child. And so the DNA that's most likely to be passed on to the next generation is the DNA that has rewarded for cooperation. But what has that to do with meditation? What has that to do with the Buddha's teachings? Meditation is not manifesting. What is manifesting? I want this, and I'm going to reach for it. I'm going to pull it towards me. You're making a very scary face. Or it's the opposite. I don't want that. I'm going to push that away from me. It's an act of indulging or controlling tendencies, but that's not meditation. Meditation is the opposite of that. Meditation is noticing what we're experiencing, whether it's a dread or desire, and letting go of it in a way that nurtures the centered spontaneity, loves centered spontaneity, that when given license to control our choices, utterances, and deeds, makes our life fabulous. So, as we mentioned, hedonistic dissatisfaction supports survival, supports procreation. People just keep humping and popping out babies. Hedonistic dissatisfaction, although it does support survival of the species, it does not support the peace and fulfillment of the individual. So, chasing bliss, whether it is the physical bliss of sexual congress, the bliss of drinking water on a warm day, the bliss of eating food when you're hungry, the bliss of taking a nap when you're tired, these things are necessary for survival, but they are not fulfilling. They're good. They can support things that might lead to fulfillment, but in and of themselves, we never have enough. Every night we sleep mostly, yet every night we still want more sleep. Every day we drink water, yet we still want more water. Every day we eat food, yet we still want more food. There's nothing wrong with these things. Every moment we breathe, there's nothing wrong with breath, but we are never satisfied with it. So the bliss we hope we get by practicing yoga or accomplishing nirvana or humping the object of your feverish dreams will not lead to satisfaction. It may lead to pleasure, but it will not lead to satisfaction. So let's explore satisfaction in two parts. In mindfulness and meditation, we'll begin with mindfulness. Every time we inhale, whether we know it or not, we are wired to effortlessly and automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the thoracic region of our spinal cord. It is not evolved for active concentration. Instead, it has evolved to help us to perceive and to do so vulnerably, passively, viscerally, and randomly. as in the phrase, perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. So how do we bring perception into the path of non-duality without lying to ourselves, without trying to coerce ourselves to believe things? We do it through the act of selective labeling. For instance, instead of labeling an appearance as ugly or beautiful, we simply label it as appearance. Instead of referring to something as harmonious or discordant, we refer to it purely as resonance. Instead of referring to something as pleasurable or painful, we refer to it as sensation. So within the setting of meditation, by deliberately using non-dual labels, it helps us to loosen the bonds, the ties that keep us tethered to dualistic thinking of pushing and pulling. But what do we do with all that which we notice? We meditate upon it. But how does that work? Every time we exhale, whether we know it or not, we access our parasympathetic nervous system, which is ensconced within the lower lumbar region of our spinal cord, as well as the tippy top of the cervical region. It's wired for both physical relaxation as well as mental release, as in the phrase, relaxing into mind's, non-graspable nature. So whenever we relax into our exhalation, whatever we perceived during our inhalation, whether it is an actual pleasure or a potential pleasure, when we relax into our exhalation, whatever we perceive during our inhalation could begin to feel as if it was as non-graspable as a vast empty void. It could feel as if it was as non-graspable as the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless day, which although could look tantalizing to the eye, is actually intangible to the hands. As we relax into our exhalation, that which we perceived during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was as non-graspable as if it had never been born. It could feel as if it was as non-graspable as if it was selfless or we were selfless. It could feel as if it was as non-graspable as if it was empty. And so you will see that all the elusive terms in Buddhism only make sense when seen through the lens of metaphor and simile. So what I'd like to do right now, and then we understand that there's things in our life that promise a measure of pleasure. And they're correct. There are things that feel good in the moment, but they do not give us the far-reaching fulfillment we desire. We've learned that we can transcend the tyranny of the duality of pushing and pulling. We can slice through that through noticing and relaxing. And so what I'd like to do now is relate tonight's lesson to the 30th verse of the Total Space of Vajrasattva, the source text of Dzogchen. Let's chant. Outer and inner, or both the outer is the inner. So we'll stop right there. In a wonderfully cryptic language, we're being told, the map is not the terrain. Our perceptions are not reality. They are just our perceptions. So here's the funny thing. Any physicist will tell you there's no such thing as actual touch. I can push my finger close to this camera right now, but because of, and I think it's the electrostatic function of my finger will never completely touch another object. What will happen is the electrostatic field around my finger will touch the electrostatic field around another object and stop there. That's why our fingers don't go through walls. So even though things seem a certain way, it doesn't mean they are a certain way. What teenager in their first makeout session has thought, if I could just, or not even makeout, on their first date, think if I could just hold their hand, that would be heaven? If I could just kiss them, that would be heaven. If we could just have naked time, that would be heaven. But it's not. There's no fulfillment. We always want more. And so the satisfaction we crave comes from recognizing that the impulses in our brain are not necessarily altruistic. They're not grounded in reality. They're there to serve an ulterior purpose. And just as a mama praying mantis will eat a papa praying mantis after he has fulfilled his service of passing on genetic material, life can do the same thing with us. So if someone tells you the meaning of life is to fulfill every desire, they're probably trying to sell you something. Let's continue. The profound is not an object of understanding, not even a part of it. Despite my blathering, and the blathering of folks like me, the key to wisdom comes not from reading treatise. It comes from noticing in harmony with our inhalation, with the utmost of vulnerability, and physically relaxing as best we can in harmony with our exhalation. That is the source of the great understanding that is superior to mere words. Together, existence is only a name, the power of mistaken existence. Thus one remains separate from the equality of meditation. The equality of meditation is this. Whatever we notice, whether we want to push at it or pull towards it, when we breathe in, feels the same way as we breathe out. And what is that way? Non-graspability. The inhalation is all about duality, noticing all sorts of interesting things. As we relax into our exhalation, that is where we access, that is where we plug into the great equality. Now, that's to be taken metaphorically. We're not supposed to treat dog poop like chocolate. It's going to give us very bad breath if we do, and a horrible disease. But whenever we notice the things that we find loathsome or desirous as we breathe in, by relaxing as we breathe out, we are practicing the slice through of duality. We are experiencing the meditation that the Buddha taught could impel us to nirvana. I do look forward to chanting and meditating with you after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I spent more than 8 hours a day studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and practices of each sect of Buddhism so that you would not have to. Welcome to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. This evening, let us play with the latest iteration of Dojum Lingpa's Tesar Ngondro, translated under the supervision of Chagdud Tulku, and adapted as well as amplified by yours truly. Our first exercise is a bit of the old energy work. Let us place our hands together in their puckered palm position overhead. Please chant with me. O Majo Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible constant protector who knows all Dharma things. O Majo Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible constant protector who knows all Dharma things. O Majo Lama, please come to this crown. O infallible constant protector who knows all Dharma things. This is not meant to be literal. This is figurative. It just helps us to work with our energy. And now that we've primed our energy, together let us meditate as transformatively as Obi-Wan Kenobi upon the sands of Tatooine under the guidance of the Force Ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn. Our first bicycle most likely had a set of training wheels, which, although were clunky, kept us from skinning our knees. Similarly, this evening's first of several meditations is going to be clunky, but it's a wonderful introduction. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite perceiving this very turbulent play of mind. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite relaxing into mind's non-graspable nature. Consider, if you will, this copulating couple. The man is sitting stationary. He's very, very yin. The woman is actively sporting. She's being very, very yang. We could call that the turbulent play of mind. Mind's supposed to be that way. Mind's supposed to perceive and emote and intend and reason and recall and imagine. Mind's supposed to do that. Let it do that. Let it do what it do. Let us sow the seeds of greater gratitude, greater enthusiasm, or I should say joyful enthusiasm. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. It is extremely difficult to find such freedom and opportunities as we have. Let us remove the first of two metaphoric training wheels and transform our meditation exercise from 12 syllables down to just 3. During our inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, notice this. During our exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite, relaxing. If at any point during this evening's live stream you have a specific question about Buddhist chanting, Buddhist meditation, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. There will be times when it feels like our circumstance or our body or our relationships or our mind is trying to beat us up. Well, that happens. Playing with generalized labels can help. So for instance, right now my sinuses kind of hurt. So during my inhalation, I will silently and mentally recite sensation. During my exhalation, I will silently and mentally recite relaxing. I do not do this to shove these sensations, but to make peace with them, to stop resisting them, and to allow the momentum of these sensations to actually strengthen and empower my practice of mindfulness and meditation. While, yes, there are some people who try to frighten themselves into doing the right thing by focusing on the inevitability of death, there are others who say impermanent, with the arena of impermanence, makes trivialities of that which we feel important unimportant. An awareness of impermanence helps us in our process of letting go. Let's chant. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. Being impermanent, everyone who was born will die. And now, at last, we remove the second of two metaphoric training wheels and transition from our three-syllable exercises to their one-syllable counterparts. During each perceptive inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During each relaxing exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which is a synonym of relax. Obviously, transitioning from three syllables to one syllables requires a bit of the old poetic license. When we experience physical sensations, we could use the noun form. When we experience emotional sensations, we could use the verb feel. When we experience a recollection, we could use the preposition then. When we experience a fantasy, we could use the verb dream. We are not powerless. We can influence the world around us. We can use our hands to shove and make people feel horrible. We can use our hands to hug and make people feel wonderful. Let's chant. The results of our virtuous and harmful actions are inevitable. The results of our virtuous and harmful actions are inevitable. The results of our virtuous and harmful actions are inevitable. Being honest with ourselves about the stress that we experience might sound negative, but really it feeds our empathy for others. The three realms we experience as samsara cycle like an ocean of suffering. The three realms we experience as Samsara cycle like a notion of suffering. The three realms we experience a samsara cycle like a notion of suffering. Let's feed our enthusiasm. Remembering this may my mantra toward Dharma. Remembering this may my mantra toward Dharma. Remembering this may my mantra toward Dharma. Welcome to the live stream. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation, Buddhist chanting, Buddhist philosophy, or how to apply them, simply type your question in great detail in the chat window. As we breathe in, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. As we exhale, we could silently and mentally recite the monosyllabic verb ease, which functions as a synonym for relax. So what I'm going to do right now is recite these 4 lines while simultaneously practicing geriatric step back squat thrusts. If you wish, you could do it with me, but you don't have to. These are just push-up handles, which are great if you're arthritic. May I liberate? Let's see. Now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. From now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. From now until I reach the very heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in the Lama, who embodies the 3 jewels. By the way, I found that using a chambered grip really helps the posture. Full disclosure, I had a ridiculously rigorous medical appointment today. So we'll see how many minutes I can persist in practicing with you tonight. If I have to cut it short because of physical limitations, please do not take that personally. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. From now until samsara is emptied, may I bring about benefit and happiness for all beings as if they have each been my kind mothers. "50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path consists of wishing love, kind communication, kind conduct, and kind commerce. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my loves of the three jewels. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my loves to the three jewels. To perfect the two accumulations, I offer the body's wealth and splendor of all my lives to the three jewels. Puckered palms overhead. Dorje Sampa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations of Vajrasattva. Dorje Sampa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations of Vajrasattva. Dorje Sampa, inseparable from my Lama, is above the crown of my head. Nectar flows from him, purifying my obscurations of Vajrasattva. Please fold your hands in the puckered palm position before your sternum. Dissolving into light, diamond, mind, mother and father, blend with me. Take two. Dissolving into light, diamond, mind, mother and father, blend with me, an experience of heart's oneness. Dissolving into light, diamond, mind, mother and father, blend with me, an experience of heart's oneness. Dissolving into light, diamond, mind, mother and father, blend with me in experience of heart's oneness. Tonight we're going to play with 4 mantra meditations. The first 4 are going to be all about love and letting go. We're going to start with an extensive wish, which we're going to then condense into a very concise wish. It's not our job to believe, it's not our job to visualize. May all minds of all beings know be as was and peaceful as the mind of a Buddha, of flesh and blood as by a bija one cerebral seed mantra humoti clay drop. We're going to take this same concise wish and recite it silently and mentally during the inhalation. During the exhalation, and this is important, physically relax as best you can while chanting this 6-syllable mantra. Om Vajra Sarva Hum 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 Om Vajra Sarva Hum. And now let's rest the mind. You'll notice that at the top of the screen it reads, slicing through the fundamental duality of dread and desire. So now let's practice love and letting go. Love and letting go is Mahayoga Tantra's mantra meditation where we leap over interpersonal competition. Maybe I should make that a capital M. What do you think? May all relationships of all beings now be as loving and joyful as a real or imagined Buddhist communication symbolized by this six-syllable mantra. Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. May all bodies of all beings now enjoy the beautiful health depicted in Buddhist thought of the blissful body of a Yidamavor and archetype of enlightenment. Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum, Om Vajra Sarva Hum. May all circumstances or lots of all beings know of the safety, good fortune, or boon, as a Buddha's real or imagined paradise, pure land of Auntie. Vajra Sarva Hum 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 Puckered palms overhead. How am I like Dorje Nashor in the sky in front of me? My rude Lama could appear in the form of Padmakara. How am I like Dorje Nashor in the sky in front of me? My rude Lama could appear in the form of Padmakara. How am I like Dorje Nashor in the sky in front of me? Maru Lama could appear in the form of Padmakara. Embodiment of all Buddhas of the three times most excellent Buddha Lama, I pray to you. Embodiment of all Buddhas of the three times most excellent Buddha Lama, I pray to you. Embodiment of all Buddhas of the three times most excellent Buddha Lama, I pray to you. Hold me with your compassion in this and future lives, and in the Buddha bless me always throughout the three times. Hold me with your compassion in this and future lives, and in the Buddha bless me always throughout the three times. Hold me with your compassion in this and future lives, and in the Buddha bless me always throughout the three times. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever we notice during our previous inhalation could feel as no graspable as a vast empty void. Like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although compelling to the eye, is not graspable to the hand. So now we come to the final four mantra meditations. For the first four, we're focused on love and letting go. Now we're focusing on awareness and letting go. And last, we'll answer the question, how are we like Dorji Naljor? How is it that as we inhale all calm and lots of circumstances could appear quite vivid? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non graspable as a real or imagined paradise or vati of light. Om Ahum Varara Guru Manmaziri 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 Let's rest the mind. How is it that as we inhale all common bodies or forms could feel quite sensual? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as non-graspable as a real or imagined octopoiodom of light. Om Ahum Varara Guru Manmaziri 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 Omahu Vadara 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 Guru Manmaziri How is it that as we inhale the interpersonal experience of common communication, our speech could be quite resounding? Yet as we relax into our purifying exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined mantra of light. Omahu Vadara Guru Manmaziri 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 Whoops. How is it that as we inhale we could perceive mind's common functions clearly? Yet as we relax into our exhalation, they could feel as not graspable as a real or imagined zitable hum of light. Om Varara Guru Manmaziri 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 May I receive all the blessings and empowerments of enlightened form, speech, and mind. May I receive all the blessings and empowerments of enlightened form, speech, and mind. May I receive all the blessings and empowerments of enlightened form, speech, and mind. Please place your puckered palms before your forehead. And join me in invoking the empowerment of Vairochana Karma Mundra. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakati Tasiri. Please place your right hand palm up in your lap and your left hand on top of that, also palm up. And join me in invoking the empowering blessings of Amagosadi Karma Mudra. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakazi Tasiri. Please hold your puckered palms before your throat and join me in invoking the empowering blessings of Amitama Karma Mudra. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakazi Tasiri. Please place the center of your left palm upon your navel and the center of your right palm upon that. And join me in invoking the empowering blessings of Ratnasambhava Karma Mudra. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakati Tasiri. Please place your puckered palms before your sternum and join me in invoking the empowering blessings of Akshobhya Karma Mudra. Benzo Guru Kaya Wakati Tasiri. The Lama dissolves into light and blends with me. The Lama dissolves into light and blends with me. The Lama dissolves into light and blends with me. In our hearts' inseparability, I behold the true face of the ultimate Lama. In our hearts' inseparability, I behold the true face of the ultimate Lama. In our hearts' inseparability, I behold the true face of the ultimate Lama. The union of spontaneous awareness and emptiness. The union of spontaneous awareness and emptiness. The union of spontaneous awareness and emptiness. We're now going to rehearse the Powa transference of consciousness at the time of death, when our mind, when our teeny tiny pea-sized mind of light shoots up our central channel, out the crown of our head, and into the vast expanse. Puckered palms overhead. I pray to the protector Amitabha, bless me that I may master the profound path of Pawa. Pay. I pray to the protector Amitabha, bless me that I may master the profound path of Pawa. Pay. I pray to the protector Amitabha, bless me that I may master the profound path of Pawa. Pay. Puckered palms before our sternum. I now give my body, wealth, and virtuous qualities wholeheartedly to all beings as if they had each been my mothers. I now give my body, wealth, and virtuous qualities wholeheartedly to all beings as if they had each been my kind mothers. I now give my body, wealth, and virtuous qualities wholeheartedly to all beings as if they had each been my kind mothers. Let us seal this evening's practice with a bit of the old loving kindness. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. Without hindrance may I ensure enormous benefit for all beings. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel if you wish. In approximately 10 2/3 hours, I would very much like to return to lead tomorrow's early meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, this is the way.